Welcome, college baseball fans. I am once again joined by Chad Knight. That's our fourth episode. Chad, how are you doing?
I mean, it was a tough weekend. You never like to lose a series, especially to end a regular season like that. But, we're in a great spot, and ACC Tournament starts this week. So I'm excited. I know the team's excited too.
Absolutely. It was a very hard fought series, especially over the first two games. Third game kind of got away. But lucky to get the game in with the weather. Senior Day was really special. You guys had a very large group of players recognized, including yourself for the second time. That was really cool to see you get to do that. And, Coach Pollard giving you a big old hug. It was, you could tell that you'd been there for a while as opposed to some of the other guys, because the other guys got some handshakes and nice words, and then you got the big old hug.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here for almost 20% of my life, a little bit longer than that. So, I have a special relationship with Coach Pollard. He's been phenomenal, and it's always emotional, especially when you see your parents out there. I was there with my dad, the guy or the person in my life that really, introduced baseball to me. So it's certainly sentimental, and it was a special day. Obviously, it wasn't the outcome that we wanted, but you said it. There's a lot of us seniors out there. We certainly bring the average age of the team up.
Yep, absolutely, and that's going to play dividends, I think, going forward now, as you can keep things settled. But great series, hard fought. Unfortunately, didn't go your guys' way. But Zach and Logan, they hit home runs when I was at the game on Friday. Really, them and Ben Miller have been really instrumental in your guys' success offensively. I talked to Coach Pollard after the game, and he said he told them that he you guys wouldn't be where you are without them. That's great. But what about the atmosphere this season? I know Aaron Fitt posted something about the Duke games this year being especially good atmospheres all year round as opposed to previous years. What's the atmosphere, loving that atmosphere at Coombs being loud for you guys?
I mean, it was awesome. And I think last week we said, or, Zach and I both talked about how it's kind of business as usual, but we could definitely feel, the excitement from the crowd was palpable for all the players, and it was really, really cool to have that rivalry at Coombs, our home field, where a lot of us became Duke baseball players, where we've invested so much blood, sweat, and tears to developing ourselves as men and as baseball players too. So typically when we play them, we're either at the Bosch or at the DBAP, but it was I think a cool way to kind of cap off my regular season career at Duke, having them come visit us at home. And I know that the next time they're there's going to be a new stadium. There's going to be some new renovations, and I'm excited for all the future Duke baseball players that are going to be able to play in that environment.
Yeah, I'm excited because I this was my first year going down there, and I think I've been down there 5 or 6 times now. I really like it's small, but it's got a really nice atmosphere, and for the product they're getting on the field. I mean, you guys have been a top 10 program most of the year. The bang for your buck there is pretty nice, especially non-conference being free. It's got to be the best value in terms of the talent on the field that you get in the country.
I mean, the stands and the seating might be small, but the field is huge. And like I said in previous episodes, if you hit a home run there, you get it. Or it's a real home run. I think they're bringing the fences in though, so future recruits, any other hitters that are coming to Duke, there's some stuff to be excited about.
Yeah, that's interesting because a lot of balls. I mean, I was sitting next to Aaron Fitt, and it was cracking me up because I can't remember who hit it, but somebody hit one, and he immediately jumped up and grabbed his camera and was about 5 steps towards like going down to get pictures when he realized the ball was going to get caught. Like it just died. I think it was like hit like 105 miles an hour off the bat too. And it
might have been Osuna because he hit a ball.
Yeah.
We were like, oh god, is that gone? And then
it just died. Yeah, I think it was to deep center. I think it still went like almost 400 feet, but was stayed in the yard.
A long out.
Oh yeah. And again, Senior Day really special. It's cool. Is that you got 2 frame jerseys now because you got to do Senior Day last year, right? So now you get to keep one for yourself, leave one for your parents.
Yep, one's going to my dad's office. I think that was the first thing he told me after I got the new jersey. So.
Yeah, so I know we joked on how like on Saturday or on Friday that it was your second time doing it, but it sounds like it works out perfectly because then you don't have to fight over the one.
Exactly.
So, but that's really cool. So ACC tournament, it's finally upon us. It's a really exciting time. It's back in Charlotte. Obviously, Durham makes it a little bit more interesting for you guys because it would have been in your backyard at the DBAP, but this year it's in Charlotte. You guys are playing on Tuesday. I'm going to bring up the slides there. There are the pools. You guys are the 6th seed. You are in the pool with NC State and Virginia Tech, and you guys had some memorable games against those two teams this year.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're getting some fantastic rematches there, but also the best game of the ACC tournament last year was between you guys and NC State to open up on Tuesday night. It kept me at the ballpark till after midnight.
Yeah, the last time we've been in the ACC tournament, we've always run into NC State. National in the ACC championship in 2021 when we ended up beating them 1-0, a really good ball game. And then I think that's when they actually made it to Omaha that year too. That was the year of the Pac-9 when I think they got they had to forfeit a game because of
That's right, the COVID. Yep.
And then last year was an incredible game too. Really could have gone either way. We ended up losing that game, but I know we're excited to play them again. I mean, kind of like Carolina, anytime you get to play, a team that, is so close to you like NC State, we're excited to play in that atmosphere where we know it's going to be that's the night game at 7 p.m. We're excited to play in front of a large crowd. And, look, they took the series from us last time. We thought that we could have won all 3 or, went 1-2. But I think we're excited to play them again and hopefully get some vengeance.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. I was actually just talking about, we just had our ACC show for College Baseball Central. We were previewing. I was talking several times about this particular game that you guys are playing. I think it's is it Thursday night or Wednesday night that you guys are playing? It's the second game you guys play. You guys play Virginia Tech first on Tuesday night. But I kept saying it's an underrated rivalry because I think it's underrated because a lot of people forget about it because the hatred both teams have for UNC kind of supersedes the closeness that you guys have. So it's actually it's a pretty close rivalry there, and I think a lot of people forget about that. That Raleigh is also very close to Durham.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're kind of the third-party private school in the Triangle area, but it's funny. Like the only time I've ever played NC State in an actual game or actual series before this year was in the ACC championship. And we play them every fall. We have like a fall scrimmage against them. We've done that for 3 years now, I believe. Last year and the year before. And
yeah, I got.
But no, like I said, I mean, it seems like we always get to play them when the stakes are high. So I think that certainly adds fuel to the fire.
Yeah, I got to see that fall ball game, which was really fun, especially when Andrew Yu got to play for NC State because I guess they needed a catcher and he was injured and couldn't hit, so he got to play a little bit for NC State wearing his Duke jersey, which was really funny to see, and that's just kind of classic fall ball.
Yeah, I got a funny story about that game too because I came to the plate when Andrew was catching. And I looked at Andrew. You want to be a really good friend right here?
That's great. Yeah, because I was sitting there like, wait, what is happening? Because they didn't tell anyone in the press box what was happening because it's fall ball. It's not really a big deal, but it's like, what is Andrew Yu now playing for NC State? What is happening?
I hit a swinging bunt and then he picked up the ball and threw me out too. So
I did not realize you were the hitter because I remember he got a huge ovation from the Duke bench for throwing you out.
Yeah, I gave him an earful about it, but we always joke about that. It's a funny moment, and he's an awesome kid, tremendous catcher, and tremendous person too. So definitely has the character to be that type of person, and go do the best job he can for the other team too. In that scenario.
Right, yeah, because it's not really a competitive scenario. It's more you guys just trying to, your fall workouts is a chance to face somebody who's not your teammates, but in that case, your teammate again. So interesting. But yeah, it's that's one of my most intriguing games. But of course, Virginia Tech played you guys really, really tough when you guys went to Blacksburg. They've obviously spiraled a bit, but they're playing for their NCAA tournament hopes. But aside from this pool, which pool do you think would be the toughest or the most intriguing for you as maybe a fan?
I mean, I think watching Carolina go up against Wake Forest, they're going to be getting their, going to be seeing Chase Burns. It's going to be can't miss, college baseball. They're the 1 seed, but Wake Forest might be throwing the best second best, pitcher in college baseball. So that's definitely gonna be fun to watch. We were joking with the UNC guys yesterday after the game that that's going to be that's going to be a fun game for us to watch. And I know they're excited to play him too. So or play Wake Forest, obviously with the success they had last year, and being ranked as high as they are, and the expectations that come with almost being in the college World Series finals last year. that's definitely probably the headline game. I think Pool D too is also, be a really, really competitive pool. Virginia's had a great year. Florida State, when we played them, they had an explosive offense, and then we just lost to Georgia Tech. So, I mean, you can really flip a coin, I guess, in any of these pools. But watching that UNC Wake game and then seeing what happens in Pool D is definitely be exciting.
Yeah, they've set up the UNC Wake Forest game to be basically if Wake Forest can beat Pitt and on Wednesday, it sets up a de facto quarterfinal game Friday night, 7:00 between Chase Burns and North Carolina. So that's a really exciting one. And it's funny you mentioned Pool D because I think Pool D is the toughest one. I could see any of those teams going 2-0. And it's going to be really fun to watch. It just goes to show the depth of the conference.
100%. I mean, there's been 6 or 7 ranked teams in the top 25 at all times for almost the entirety of the season. So great time to be an ACC baseball fan. Great time to be a college baseball fan in general. But if you're coming to Charlotte, I mean, your ticket's gonna be worth the price of admission.
Oh, 100%. What are your thoughts like on this pool format? I know the SEC, for example, does the double elimination. They've got 4 games going on, so some teams are playing at 9:30 in the morning. From a player point, what's it like playing in this format versus potentially another one?
I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to play in another one, but I definitely think you have to reward the teams that play the best in the regular season. So I think that's the one thing going for this format. I definitely think that in baseball, I think it's always fun to watch an underdog story, though. So I think the double elimination, kind of what softball does, is actually, or what softball does in the regionals, is, fun to watch too. I don't know. I really wish I could comment more on that, but I do believe that you have to reward teams that play well in the regular season. There has to be, some sort of benefit, to finishing at the top of the league.
Right. I like that. And especially with baseball being such a finicky sport, it's harder, if you don't reward those teams, anything can happen and anything can still happen, but at least you're giving them that benefit of going 1-1. You automatically get to advance if everyone else has gone 1-1 or multiple teams have gone 1-1.
Definitely. Because in one game or 2 games, the sample size is too small. Something crazy could happen. But, when you consider the body of work that all these teams have gone through, when you play 30 conference games in 3 months, that's a challenging schedule for any team, and you're able to finish in those, be a top 4 seed, it's a great accomplishment.
And what a lot of people don't realize with some of the games that might end up being meaningless for the tournament itself, the ACC tournament, those games do have implications on the NCAA tournament seeding and stuff. And a lot of people don't seem to realize that there's still an opportunity for teams to pad their resume.
100%. You're playing for RPI, you're playing to beat ranked opponents, and not every team is guaranteed to get in. So, every game matters from this point on. Coach Pollard always likes to talk about how at the end of the regular season, everyone's 0-0. So everyone's putting their best foot forward and fighting to play more baseball. It's winning you're in. The more you win, the more you advance. So
you played a lot. 2021 when you guys went to the ACC championship and won it. What does it take? And it was a similar format, if I recall. It was still pool play. What does it take to win in this kind of a tournament, to make that run and win 4 games or 3 games if,
We were joking about in the locker room. I think we only used 3 relievers in those 4 games because our starting pitching gave us really great depth. We got guys going 6-7 innings in their starts. So I think we used 6 pitchers or 7 pitchers in the 7 pitchers in the entirety of the tournament, which is crazy to think about. That's 36 innings that you're really just delegating between 6-7 guys. Our pitching really, maybe I don't think they got enough credit for what they were able to accomplish that year. But I think just because it's so many games and, in a week, it's 4 games in a week and, every game matters. Most of them are elimination games. It really just comes down to depth, timely hitting, and, making sure that your pitching staff is well rested and are able to, eat those innings. Sometimes, just being able to, build a lead for your pitchers. So you're able to give them your best guys, your best back end relievers, the night off is huge. That's what it takes. And it's funny you mentioned the pitching. Your starting pitching over the weekend against UNC was actually really good. The problem is
Andrew Healy's coming back from injury, so he hasn't been able to get stretched out. I know Coach Pollard talked about stretching him out a little bit more if you guys can get advanced far enough in the tournament this week. And then Higgins went for it, really good innings, and obviously KJ was sensational on Thursday night in the win there. So it's another week without Tooch, but you guys seem like you guys are set up okay starting wise, just maybe not the length that you might need with trying to stretch those guys out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Santucci really hurts, and he's an incredible pitcher, one of the best in the country, and I think that would hurt any team if they lost him. But we also have a lot of really talented other pitchers, and our bullpen's really been a strength for us this entire year, and so is our offense. So it really is going to take a team, to win a championship, and that's the case for every single team in the tournament.
Yep, it's really exciting. Do you have any really good memories aside from obviously winning the championship? Obviously, you guys get to do the dog pile in 2021, but are there any memories or stories that come to mind from past ACC tournaments that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I just remember in 2021, I roomed with Graham Pauly, and we always talked about how, in 2021 we were, almost a 500 team for most of the regular season, and then we started going on this winning streak, and there was this moment I think after we won that first game where the self-belief really kicked in. We were like, we can do this. We can win this tournament. It's really not that far out of reach. And then obviously it takes special moments and special players. Mike Rothenberg hit a walk-off home run against Miami, I think, which was essentially like a de facto quarterfinal game for us. He had a huge step-up performance by Luke Fox, who was a freshman at the time. He pitched, I think, 6 or 7 really strong innings against Virginia. Joey Oberfito's in the big leagues, hit 2 home runs against Mike Basil. He was a really, really good college pitcher. I think he was drafted that year.
Yeah, I think he's with the Mets organization.
Yep. But, it takes, a bunch of really special individual performances, but it takes, a lot of self-belief too. I mean, it's daunting because you're playing, you could be playing 4 ranked teams in 4 consecutive games, and everyone's throwing their best guys at you. So it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And you guys are still playing for the possibility to host at Coombs. I know you guys are right now probably looking on the outside, looking in. Hopefully you guys get to host, but I did see D1 had their projections last week, had you guys going to East Carolina for a regional, which would be pretty amazing because obviously we've talked about that atmosphere and the games you guys had there a couple weeks ago. But if you could go anywhere, if you guys aren't hosting, where would you want to go? And I don't necessarily mean this in terms of providing any locker room information or chance to win, but more atmosphere.
Well, my roommate, Zach Morris, I think he mentioned on the show last week, he considered Dudy Noma like the mecca of college baseball. I think to finish off my career, I'd love to have the opportunity to go there. I know if I don't play there, I'm certainly going to go visit at some point in my life. That's a bucket list for me. So, and I've also never played in an SEC field, never played an SEC team. So I think that'd be a cool experience. I think all of us would be excited about. But even if we get to go back to Greenville and play ECU, we talked about it last week. They have a really, really cool, neat environment. It's cool to have 2 Carolina teams in the same regional. But at the same time, we're focused this week. We're going to try and win a championship, and we hope we have the chance to host. It would be a first for Duke. It would be a first for Coombs, and be a first for all of us. So we're really, really excited.
Yeah. I'm sitting there watching very closely because obviously you guys would be on one of my lists to where I'd be covering. So I'm very intrigued. I'm keeping a close eye on it. But even if you guys end up going to Greenville, it keeps it kind of like, oh, I might have to go to that one. But the same D1 thing had like Clemson and South Carolina in the same regional, which was particularly spicy as well. So I was like, I don't even know if these projections are good, but I kind of want to see Clemson and South Carolina regional together because they had the
rivalry.
Yeah, and they had that series that was really, really good early in the season, got rain shortened. They only played the 2 games. But we just talked very briefly about KJ and his performance, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about these freshmen that you guys have got. Obviously, you've got these, your fellow seniors and graduate guys that are phenomenal, but the future of Duke baseball is very, very bright, especially when you take into account you've got a lot of sophomore arms as well. But yeah, like Kyle Johnson, Macon Winslow, Chase Cruson, AJ. I almost forgot AJ Grazia, and then you and Zach have both mentioned Sam Harris, who hasn't played much this year, but it's got to be really exciting, knowing that you're leaving the program in pretty good hands.
Definitely. I think I think anyone that's graduating or any college baseball player, really anyone that's worked at any company would say that, they want to leave someplace better than they found it. And I know that's the case at Duke, for me and for all the seniors. I think the relationship between, graduates, seniors and freshmen, young players is really, really important and integral to any program, because you kind of put two sides of the spectrum. You have young kids that are developing as men, as baseball players. You have professional aspirations. And on the other side of things, you have your veterans that are kind of on the way out, and they're able to kind of nurture and help the freshmen, and hopefully set them up to be in a better spot than we were. You know, have a better college baseball career in general, and just be a better person than we are too. But the freshmen on our team are super, super talented. I'm not going to say that's because of senior leadership. I think they're just naturally very, very, very gifted baseball players, and they love to work very, very hard. But I'm excited for the future of Duke baseball for sure. It's been a joy to watch them. It's been a joy to be their teammates. And I think the most impressive thing about all of them is just their maturity. They're 18 kids, and they're playing like they've been on, on a national stage for years now. And I mean, that's not just true for them too. It's true for a lot of freshmen across the ACC, across college baseball. It's impressive to watch 18, 19-year-old kids, handle themselves the way they do, and, be as responsible and, I guess, talented at baseball, and when there are a lot of 18, 19-year-old kids doing other things. So
yeah, I can remember my 18, 19-year-old days. But yeah, no, that's one of the things I've always noticed. I mean, obviously I've talked about AJ's ability, like strike zone awareness is mind blowing for his age. But then just interviewing him, I would not have been able to necessarily know he was a freshman in college. And I think that's a testament to Duke's recruiting and scouting to get these guys in there, because it's really cool. I'm excited to see, not just how Kyle and AJ grow as they look like potential first round picks in the future, but seeing Macon Winslow really getting the chance to be behind the plate consistently. Seeing Chase Cruson hit more often. And then obviously I'm excited to see Sam Harris, the way you guys have talked about his power. So really, really exciting stuff. I'm sure they've got another great recruiting class coming in behind. So it'll be really fun to just keep
better. They always get better.
Yeah. So I'm excited for Duke baseball to stay as long as it has under Coach Pollard. He's done a fantastic job. And speaking of Coach Pollard, he's one of the best coaches in the country. I think he's finally getting some of the recognition. I think he's been underrated. But what he's done at Duke, I think he came in, was it 2014 or 2015? So he's only been there, 8 or 9 years. He's done a fantastic job. I mean, this is the most successful stretch of Duke baseball since the 50s, early 60s. What's it been like playing for him, and what factor did he play? Obviously, academics was a major factor for you in deciding where to go to school, but what factor did he play in your decision to come to Duke?
Well, I think it's just his leadership. I think, when it comes to leadership, Coach Pollard loves to talk a lot about servant leadership. And it's one of those things where, as a leader, if you show, people that you care more about them than you do about yourself, then, your followers will run through a brick wall for you. And I think that's the case for every single person on our team. We know how much he cares about us. He's a foxhole guy. So he knows that, we all know that he's in our corner and we're in his corner. And I think that's a really, really important relationship for every player to have with a coach, to know that your coach trusts you, he respects you, and that, it's the coach knows that he has the respect and, love from the players as well. And that's true for all of our coaches. It's true for Eric Tyler. It's true for Brady Kirkpatrick. It's true for Ty Blankmeyer. Really everyone involved with the program. And it's a really, really healthy rapport I think all the coaches have with the players. And I certainly believe that is, translated into success, especially in the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get when I interview him, is when he talks about specific players, you can tell it's more than just, this guy helps us win. There seems to be a genuine love there for his players, and he lights up when they get recognized for their success, which is really nice.
100%. I think one of the challenges with college baseball, compared to high school baseball, and I'm sure this is a challenge for professional baseball too, is, you really only have a handful or a fixed amount of time to become friends, develop a meaningful relationship, and, earn trust of, your teammates and your coaches. When you're a freshman, it seems like when it seems like the world's spinning 1,000 miles an hour. There's a lot of different challenges, and knowing that your coaches are in your corner and are, being intentional about reaching out and making sure they're developing a relationship with you and, building trust with you. I think that's key. And, every coach on our staff, especially Coach Pollard, has been tremendous at that. I think you can see with the confidence that guys play on the field, especially this year and the year before, you can see the results of, that intent.
Yeah, and like I said, like I talked to him after the loss on Friday, disappointing loss. The nice thing about interviewing him after a loss, I'm not necessarily afraid to ask questions, because even though he's disappointed, he's not going to take it out on the reporters like some coaches might. But when I brought up Bravo and Zach, he just kind of lit up. And keep in mind, again, the team that you guys have just lost, and he's still able to kind of show that joy he had for their success, and that tells me a lot about a person. So Coach Pollard, very special. What does he mean to Duke baseball?
I mean, I think Coach Pollard is Duke baseball. I think he eats, breathes, and sleeps Duke baseball. He's going to be the coach that leads this team to Omaha, this program, whether it's this year, next year, or consecutively. Like I said, he is Duke baseball. He really is the face of it. I think he's been the leader that this program and the school has needed, for the baseball program ever since he's gotten here. He's just injected it with a winning culture and with, a culture that's going to stay and be a perennial top 25, powerhouse that, I think the school is capable of being. So, we're not just playing for ourselves. We're not just playing for the university, but we're playing for him too. And I think the love and, support that, all of our players show for him and he shows for our players is, makes playing for him so much more fun.
Yeah, and I think that's the best what the best coaches can do, especially in college baseball, where they have a little bit more ability to interact, as opposed to like college football, where you've got 90 players and 24 coaches, and there's a lot of command in between those two. It's really nice to hear, because I mean, even telling your story about when you forgot about your bags and you were, you went directly to him, and he was just like, and still, and the jokes that he was able to give after that, it's just it's a really fun thing, I think, and really important to talk about the personal connection between coaches and players.
100%. I mean, especially at the ages, of college baseball, when you're 18 to 23 or 24, in some cases now 25 years old, you're really playing an instrumental role in the development of a lot of these, of these players and these human beings. You're not just a coach to them who's trying to make them a better baseball player, but you're trying to make them a better man too. And, I know that he's touched everyone that's ever walked through this program and made them a better person. And truly, besides, leading this team to multiple regionals and an ACC championship and hopefully Omaha this year, or if not, then next year or soon after, I think that's one of his biggest accomplishments is, having produced and having helped, and touched the lives of so many people and made them, turn them into better man, into good fathers, into good friends, into good teammates. And, I think truly, if not the winning legacy that he leaves at Duke, that'll be a legacy he leaves with a lot of people and a lot of families.
Which is, yeah, and that's more important in a way. I mean, I know some people might not look at it that way in terms of wins and losses, but it's more important on what the impact you have on other people and how much you improve the lives of everyone. So I just wanted to take a quick segment to talk about Coach Pollard. He's one of my favorite coaches not just in the conference, but in the country. So I really wanted to make sure we touched on that, because I figured that you were going to say some of the things you've said based on what I thought of him. But real quickly, we can talk some MLB. Obviously, you didn't get a chance to see it, but you did watch the highlights. The Paul Skeens game. He had his second start and was absolutely electric. What's it like knowing that just a year ago he was pitching in the SEC tournament?
And there's a funny story. One of our players, Harrison Rogers, he came in through the transfer portal. He played at D2 school, Colorado Mesa. He's a really, really good player over there and still is a great player over here for us. But he was telling us about how when he was considering transferring to Duke and playing Division I baseball, that he was watching, the College World Series and was watching Brett Lauder and Paul Skeens pitch against each other. And even he was like, oh, God, this is what it's going to be like to play in the ACC and play Division I baseball. Maybe this is not meant for me. And then, obviously, not every pitcher is the number 1 overall draft pick or, a top 5 pitcher in the country. I mean, obviously they exist, but it's truly incredible what he's been able to do. I find it crazy that he's younger than me. I think that's the funniest part when you start to get to, I'm not going to say my age, at the ripe old age of 23, but when there are people that are younger than you that are able to perform at that level and do some incredible things that we really have never seen. We struck out 7 guys to start a game. I think the last person to do that was Jacob deGrom as a rookie. That's some good company to be involved with, and I'm excited to watch the rest of his career. And I mean, in 2023, I really don't know who had a better year, if it was Travis Kelce or if it was Paul Skeens. I think
that's true. Both on and off the field, some might say. So, it was really special. I was sitting there watching you guys, and I was getting updates next to me. They're like, Skeens now has this many strikeouts. Oh, he walked somebody. I was like, well, he's clearly a bust then. I know that him versus Rhett Lauder was one of the best college baseball games I've ever seen. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it live, but in Omaha with the stakes as it was. But your Yankees, they're in first place. They're 2 games up on the O's.
That's what happens when Aaron Judge gets hot. He starts hitting all these home runs, and now you got him and Soto, and I think they're leading the AL and ERA and team ERA.
I think so.
They're firing on all cylinders, but I'll also be the first one to say that I've watched a lot of good Yankee teams peak early in the season, and I hope they can keep it up come September, October.
Yes, and by the way, Juan Soto is only 25.
I know.
I was concerned for a second. I was like, let me see if he might be younger than you. I was worried because he feels like he's been around forever too. But he came up when he was 19 in 2018.
It's funny. I mean, I always used to joke with the seniors and 5th years when I was a freshman. I was like, hey, it was 2019, my freshman fall, and Juan Soto was playing in the World Series at age 20 or 21. And I would go up to the seniors or the 5th years at the time and kind of joke and take a jab at him and say, hey, aren't you older than Juan Soto? Isn't he playing in the World Series? And you're, I don't know, still trying to learn how to hit a curveball. and now the tables have turned. It's the freshman going, hey, Chad, aren't you like 2 years older than Paul Skeens? I'm like, yep. And I throw about 14 miles an hour slower than him too.
Yeah. That's
you don't have to run with me. I already know. I'm very self.
I had that same kind of thought process when I was in my early 20s. Like, oh no, these guys I've been following are now younger than me. That's a strange concept. Yeah. It takes a while.
Growing up.
Oh yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, your Yankees are looking great. They're 2 games ahead of the Orioles. The Orioles seem to be struggling with how they want to handle their prospects. They brought Heston Kjerstad up and then only gave him like 17 at-bats or 17 plate appearances over like a month.
Yeah, I mean, I think the jump from just the minor leagues to the major leagues is pretty significant. I was speaking with Graham, and he was even telling me, just the difference between the minors and the majors is huge, just because in the MLB, really every single weakness that you have gets exposed, whether that's a hole that you have in your swing, whether that's a deficiency you have on defense, every single thing gets exposed. And with the amount of data that's available nowadays, it's frightening. It's really, really challenging for young players to go and make that jump. And that's why it's so incredible when you do see a young player come up and have the success that they do. But I think sometimes it just takes a couple more years for someone to really develop. I mean, CJ Abrams, his first couple of years, he was a decent player, but now he's really starting to hit his stride, and could be the starting shortstop for the NL this year. So, development, happens at different speeds for different players. And I'm sure that, all those prospects are going to be just fine. It might just take a little bit longer. And, it's not a bad thing. It's not a race. It kind of just is a testament to how, good you really have to be to make it there.
Yeah, I mean, even Dylan Cruz was having some struggles at Double-A recently, and people were freaking out. And it's just like, just stop watching for like a month and then come back and check. Like,
yeah, I mean, people forget when Mike Trout came up in 2011, he struggled for the first, 3 games too, and then in 2012 he had an MVP caliber season, one that we may never see again. So it takes a special player, but I think all those players are going to be fine. The Wyatt Langfords, the Jackson Holidays. The Heston Kjerstads,
Oh yeah,
they're good for a reason, and many players before them have figured it out and gone through the same struggles. So everyone struggles in baseball; it's inevitable. It's rare that you find a player of any caliber that's really just been able to make the game look easy at every single level.
I mean, even if you're hitting 300, you're failing 7 out of 10 times.
And you're always an 0 for 1 away from hitting below 300. So
right, exactly. Yep. So I don't know what your job's looking like in terms of hours, how much you're gonna have to put into it, but are you excited about the possibility of going to see a lot more Yankees games in person?
On the weekends, definitely.
Yeah, I was assuming you were gonna be working long hours, so
it's par for the course, but I'm excited about that too. I'm excited about my job, but I think, look, I grew up an hour from New York. I love the city. I love everything it has to offer, and definitely going to Yankees games and Mets games. Don't want to discriminate against the other New York fans out there. So I'm excited to have that entire New York experience. And I grew up going to Yankee games. My family was lucky enough to take me to a bunch growing up, and those were I had some of my favorite memories just growing up with my dad, my mom, and some of my friends growing up. So I'm excited to experience that in my 20s now.
Have you already looked to see when the Padres are coming to New York, or if they are coming to New York?
Yeah, they're coming. I know they're playing the Mets, I think, in the second or third week of June. I think Graham's in AAA right now, but I told him that if he's back up, then I'm totally going to bring a bandwagon of people to come and watch.
If you're not busy the second or third week of June.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything's up in the air. So
yeah. But that would be awesome. I mean, that's got to be. I mean, that's the downside of Duke is you're not really close to a major league team. So, but you're going to be able to see your friends and at some point, and that's gonna be a really special moment.
Look, you give and you get. I guess if you live in North Carolina, you don't have a professional, baseball team, but you have a bunch of ranked college baseball teams. You have 4 teams in the Triangle plus ECU and Campbell. You get a great, probably the best college baseball atmosphere in recent memory. And I mean, you also get a lot of good ACC sports and ACC basketball, football, and I guess you got the Hurricanes too.
Yeah, and the Hurricanes. Yep. So really exciting stuff. That's pretty much gonna wrap us up. Unless you have any other stories you want to share, or
no? I think I just want to reiterate my excitement for the ACC tournament. Playing at Truist Field, or what used to be BB&T Ballpark, is it's truly is an incredible stadium. I think just stepping on the field, there's kind of a championship aura to it, and you can't say that about every field, but every time you find yourself at Truist Field as a college baseball player, it's for for something important, and I think that's palpable for all the players that are going to be there, and I think for all the fans in the stadium too. There'd be some great baseball to watch. So excited to be in Charlotte, excited for everyone to be there, and excited to see how this week unfolds.
Yeah, we might have some more extra content this week with Chad because I'll be there, and we'll probably hang out a little bit. It's going to be.
I'll be roaming around the stadium probably on Wednesday when we don't play. I mean, definitely going to go and watch as much baseball as I can. So
absolutely, yeah, because Chad loves baseball. He's I'm excited for you to get to be able to watch your Yankees in person over the summer on the weekends when you have time. But yeah, this has been another episode. We'll have another one next week, probably talking about regionals and where you guys end up, because we're probably going to do it on. We'll figure it out, but maybe Selection Monday. I'm not sure what your schedule's looking at, but maybe after you guys have figured out where you're going. So we'll have a lot more of Chad, hopefully for like another month or so, hopefully.
And I'm holding on to college and baseball for as long as I can. So
yep, if all goes right. If I could snap my fingers right now, I'd be sending Duke to Omaha out of anyone else. I think that was a question our CBC main account asked. And I was like Duke. I was like, probably Duke, ECU, UVA.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we love Monty. He's got the Duke hat on right now. He's one of our biggest supporters. So we don't discriminate against any Duke fans.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I picked this up the other day at the team store. It's really funny because I was talking to somebody. They asked me. I told them I covered baseball in the Triangle, and they were like, "What's your favorite team in the Triangle?" And I was like, "Do you mean in baseball or generally?" And because if it's baseball, it's Duke, and it's not close. But if it's another sport, I'm not as big on Duke. But
there's a lot of controversy, I guess, with other sports. But I'll be the first one to tell you that Duke football was a lot of fun to watch this past year. Having College game day there, Duke basketball is always fun to watch. Duke lacrosse. I know they just lost to Maryland last year, but it's a good time to be a Duke student. There's a lot of exciting stuff happening around the university.
Yep, and it's a great campus, beautiful campus if you haven't been. So anyway, we'll be back next week. Until then, enjoy the ACC tournament.
Thank you, Monty. I'll see you there.